Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street, the small business lenders to help it grow. Lance, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Katie, thank you very much. A lot of news going on. There's a lot of news. So we'll get to, you know how to ask questions. Please send us your questions during or before. But let's get into the poll question. Number one, how much can SBA fine a participating lender? And Lance, I guess the corollary on that is, when would SBA fine a lender?
I think it would require very disregarding an SBA directive from a review, long-term negligent behavior on eligibility or program requirements. I mean, there's several things. And actually, Bob, doing a webinar next week that will go over the reasons why SBA might potentially fine a lender. I think SBA is going to probably try to avoid fining someone unless it's really egregious behavior.
Because it's going to be litigation and et cetera. Lance, what's the answer?
$250.
Very good. Very good. So that's the fine is immaterial, because if you're going to get fined, you're going to lose your POP.
Yeah, historically, there's not been a monetary fine. You know, they could take away your 750 agreement. They could take away your delegated lending authority, but now they've thrown a monetary fine in the mix.
Well, they could take away your delegated lending authority. They can take away your ability to sell to the secondary market.
Yeah. And one decent sized loan sold in the secondary market's equal to more than that fine is.
And Lance is going to talk about this. Don't worry about a one-off. Yeah, we all make mistakes. We're human. SBA is not going to come down on you for one egregious loan. You may lose the guarantee, but they're not. But they want to see, as Lance said, a pattern of disregard of basic rules and regulations. Can SBA debar you individually?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we have to realize when we sign the SBA Form 1920 when a loan is submitted is we are certifying quite a number of things about that SBA loan. So a repeated pattern of disregard for the SBA rules and SOPs might result in you being debarred from participating in the SBA lending program. Again, this would be a very last step, Bob. They're not looking to prohibit people from participating.
Yeah, you sign one 1920 where there's an error on that.
That's not going to be debarred. No. But let's say you do it, it's a pattern. Let's say you do it over a period of years and it accumulates to a significant total. It could result.
You will be warned beforehand, correct, Lance? I mean, this isn't going to be out of the blue.
By the time you get to the point of being debarred from participating in the program, you're going to be well aware that it's coming.
Yeah, and there's probably other issues that you're going to face as well. And finally, this is obscure, but I think it's important. SBA is pursuing joint venture for lending oversight with which entities? Department of Treasury, the Consumer Protection Finance Board, Office of Controller
of the Currency,
and trade groups. Lance, why is this important?
Well, SBA does not have the manpower, human resource power to handle the level of oversight that they're now, and the oversight requirements and the oversight techniques that SBA is utilizing for SBA participant lenders going forward. It would be difficult for SBA to keep up with it. So a joint venture with another regulatory agency like the OCC makes good sense.
Yeah, and the answer is the OCC, right? Correct, Lance?
That's correct, and that makes good sense for SBA in keeping up with monitoring SBA lender performance.
Well, the reason why I'd like this is because in the past, there's been a disconnect between an SBA review and the OCC reviews. And a lot of times this lack of knowledge on the OCC of what exactly that guarantee is worth and how it should look. So this is, you're going to be able to have a single voice from these regulators, where one regulator says you're fine and the other one says you got a lot of issues. Katie, what's going on in Washington?
So a little bit of an update. House passed a one-week continuing resolution on Wednesday. Senate still has not voted on that. However, there is some talk about it possibly getting held up because two senators are pushing for some kind of COVID relief to be included in that continuing resolution bill, opposed to waiting till next week or possibly even later to getting that passed, as they say that's really important to get done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and that's
but it is only two senators, so it is unlikely that this is going to really hold it up.
Yeah, I mean, they can delay votes a little bit, but it will happen, so that's good news. And we're going to push it into next week. Katie, what do we expect to see happening next week?
Well, next week, it is kind of up in the air right now. There are obviously several COVID relief bills that are being suggested right now. The big one being the bicameral, bipartisan supported one that was, we've only seen the framework really for. I believe they'll probably end up voting on that next week. Who knows if that's going to be connected with the budget or if that's going to be separate. There is push in the House to connect them. And there's several senators who have also come out in agreement saying that they would like to put them together. But it is still possible that they'll separate those two and vote them.
The senators are across party aisles, as you said, bipartisan, and also bicameral, which means the House and Senate are on board as well. Katie, when does Congress break for their Christmas break? Do we know?
In theory, it was supposed to be today, but obviously they need to get this done first. So it's kind of up in the air as well. Since they're voting on this bill that's obviously only going to last about a week, I think they're probably planning on at least stretching it into next week. It's really unclear at this point. They've done this several times throughout the year now, where they're taking their breaks later or pushing them in a different time frame just because COVID's complicated things.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Lance, I mean, it's things are going to start rocking and rolling in terms of my feeling is once it lets loose, it's going to be the finger in the dike. We're going to have a lot of guidance, a lot of regulation, a lot of stuff's going to hit.
Well, and I think everybody on this call is getting ongoing telephone calls from small businesses saying, is there going to be another round of PPP? What are they going to do with forgiveness? What about the fact that they took $10,000 off of my forgiveness amount? I had that phone call this morning. So there are a lot of small businesses, a lot of SBA, just people in general want them to take action.
Yeah, and as lending professionals, you want to be able to give appropriate guidance and responses, and it's tough to do your job when you don't know what's going on. Hey, this is an interesting story. Why is this important, Lance? And I know you are it in terms of how to correct errors. And in 7A, I know you're an expert on how I'm getting loans that have been canceled erroneously back into play. But here we have the PPP. Tell us about this, Lance.
Well, they issued a form for reinstatement of a PPP loan. And of course, as we all know, when I was deputy director of the Little Rock Center, one of the most common reasons for reinstatement was an incorrect status on the 1502 report. Well, with as many loans as PPP has put on the 1502 report, it's pretty easy to make at least one mistake. So this gives a participant lender the opportunity, if one of the PPP loans is accidentally marked canceled or paid in full, and it's not, you can get it reinstated just like you could a regular SBA 7A loan.
Yeah. So so feel free to clean up those errors. Do these errors negatively impact your Paris score? I don't think so.
No.
Okay. So just clean it up and move on. What did Mr. Phelps do, Katie?
So this is a fraud article that I've been kind of following it for a while. He finally got arrested on October 29th. Basically, this is a former Bank of America executive from New York who was arrested for about $8 million in bank fraud and bribery. What was happening was a print shop was coming to him wanting to boost their credit at the bank. And so what he did is he would take their financials, look them over ahead of time before they actually submitted it to the bank, compare it to mostly small businesses actually, but small businesses that had received loans in the past that were getting accepted, and he would coach them on what to change to make it appear as though this is in fact a true real forms and everything's correct, but in fact they were editing some of those numbers, inflating some of their numbers, and then kind of hiding others. It's unclear at this time whether he got anybody else at the bank is going to be arrested. However, it is kind of hinted in some of his text messages that maybe he got others involved in the bank. He was overseeing about 11 people, and the text between some of them appears as though maybe he's been doing this in the past as well.
How much cash did he get, Katie? Do we know?
We don't know the exact number. We know that the print shop ended up with an $8 million line of credit. And what they were doing is they were taking some of that money and filtering it back to him through cash. They were sending cash envelopes to him, tens of thousands of dollars at a time. They're estimating that he made hundreds of thousands of dollars off in profits off of this.
Yeah, that's the return on that is very bleak, and anyway, these are Lance. There's certainly nothing wrong with sitting down with a client and telling them where they're deficient in the financial statement. I don't see an issue with that. But
one of the things that comes up frequently, Bob, is a small business using QuickBooks, and they're doing their own interim financial statements, and they make mistakes in the input into QuickBooks, so their balance sheet and income statement looks kind of wonky. It's not unusual for a banker to say, hey, you need to make these adjustments, but they're proper and correct adjustments. To go back and encourage them to make adjustments to justify, my goodness, Bob, an $8 million line of credit, that's got to be a outstandingly large print shop.
Yeah.
But, it's to coach them in that way, certainly, and to receive. I read the story that Katie put out. The guy was getting FedEx envelopes full of cash. Not only is his
rule number one: do not accept FedEx envelopes full of cash.
Not only is his career over, but he's going to spend a little time in a different locale.
Yeah, and he's one of the he'll never work in the industry again. It's a couple $100,000, that's a salary over 2 years. Now let's switch gears. Let's talk about something good. Our friend Kurt Chilcott, he was our Main Street Lender of the Year. I'll start. I'll let Katie finish up. Kurt does a great job down in San Diego, and he's truly committed to getting access to capital to underserved markets. Has a great team. It just does a great job on that. It's very excellent in forming partnerships with lenders and other nonprofits and whatever. And we've played his videos in the past of what he's done. But just a great organization, and congratulations, Kurt. We really appreciate your support of Main Street. What am I leaving out on that, Katie?
Well, the reason why he made Mission-Based Small Business Lender of the Year was really how much he's helping those small, really small businesses. Looking at their PPP process alone, they did 4,269 PPP loans, with the average sized loan being only $46,000, meaning, and that average was based on half of those loans were smaller than that. So they're helping really the smallest of businesses that really needed the help, and they're reaching out to them and helping. So that's one of the main reasons why we selected him.
Yeah, it's very good. And just congratulations, Kurt. Hey,
Yeah.
our other under 40, we'd like to acknowledge up-and-comers and Reese Sanford, Wesley, I think he goes by Reese, down in Georgia. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Sanford.
So Sanford's been in the SBA industry for about 6.5 years, primarily handling 7A. However, just maybe a week or two ago, he did close his first 504 loan, so he's branching out. He's closed a total of nearly 40 SBA loans worth $39 million. And he recently aided the executives in overseeing the closing of 464 PPP loans, which is supporting 3,473 jobs. So, and I don't know if I mentioned that he's out of Atlanta.
Yeah. So congratulations, Reese. Good for you. You know, this is the fun part of our job. Hey, what are you going to talk about? Speaking of fun parts of the job, Lance, Christmas came early for you. You got to dig into the new SOP. Tell us about it.
The new SOP 5053-2 gives us information about how SBA is going to monitor SBA participant banks, what they're going to look at, what you can expect if you do something wrong, and what the potential penalties are. It also gives clear definition of the SMART analytics and the PAIRS review, but it's good for you to understand how SBA takes a look at your participant lending institution and have an understanding of what they're going to review and how they're going to review.
Very good. No, and that's going to be very critical for looking forward to what you're doing in 2021 in terms of managing your program. Katie, I know you've been updating the forgiveness guide. We're going to do something interesting on that. And we're going to print out some hard copies. We haven't done that in a while. So we'll let you we'll let you know about that. But when you do buy the guide, you do get the monthly update right now, PDF, but we may do something different from that. And finally, please take advantage of the secondary market summit next week. A lot of good information on there. And if that's something, the secondary market is not particular in your job description, get your CFO or other people who are putting pencil to paper for the 2021 budget to find an update on that. Lisa made a point. She's just said, so is the SBA shutting down tonight at midnight? I hear you say no, and I am saying no because I'm assuming I am assuming there will be no government shutdown. I would be shocked if that happened. So I do not stay up until midnight to to worry about that.
I don't need them to shut down, Bob. I have loans in process that I need done. So
yeah, so no, that's not gonna happen. Thank you all very much. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday. There's going to be a lot of news next week. Thank you for joining us for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
have a great week.
Weekend.